Tell me about this trip and how it came about and how you are connected to the Menendez brothers.
I left the film business to start a criminal justice nonprofit working with young people. I'm sitting in a hotel in New York and I get a blind text from a number I've never seen. And it says like, "Hi, this is Kim Kardashian. I've been following your work and I would love for you to mentor me. I want to go to law school, etc." And it was just the most wild text to get.
You don't believe it when it says,
I don't believe it at all.
Right, no way.
This is 2018. Right? So I call the number and it's Kim Kardashian. And I said, okay, well, I wanted to see how serious she was, right? So next week I'm going to a women's prison about 2 hours from your house. You want to join me? She says, well, I'm supposed to be shooting Keeping Up with the Kardashians. I'll cancel my whole day and I'll come to Corona, California in 120-degree weather. And she shows up with one security, leaves her phone in the car, and goes into the women's prison and spends 4 hours inside a women's prison. I knew she was serious.
What's the reception like when Kim Kardashian walks into a women's prison?
I mean, they went nuts. They went nuts. The most incredible thing is she knew, like she said to the women right away, like, I'm here to learn. I'm here to listen. This is my first time walking into a women's prison. And she just sat quiet. And she listened and she was humble and she was empathetic.
What is it like when you hear that from a celebrity? Because you will get this all the time where celebrities are like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be involved in this and I'm gonna do this and I'm gonna do that. And really it's a very superficial thing. So what did it mean to you to see her interaction like that?
I mean, it was unbelievable to see someone with her platform care that much. I've had hundreds, maybe dozens of celebrities tell me they wanna help, but like I can count the real ones on one hand: John Legend, Common, J. Cole, Kim, Ty Dolla $ign. Like, there are people that always show up and are always helpful, but a lot of people that say they want to help, but ultimately don't make the time, right? Kim and I, we've done multiple prison visits together, like probably a dozen at this point.
How often do you two do a prison visit?
Kim and I probably visit prisons 2 to 3 times a year. Forever, it was kind of very quiet. We never filmed it or talked about it or posted about it, et cetera. We just did it very quietly. I asked her to actually start filming it for their Hulu series, because so much about my work is humanizing people who might have done something horrible in their teenage years, but decades later are different people. And I thought being able to humanize them on the #1 show on Hulu would have been an important thing. So we went to a prison last year called Valley State Prison, and we filmed it for the Hulu series.
Thank you for having us. So nice to meet you.
Just 2 months ago, we went to a youth prison fire camp where incarcerated juveniles, young people, were fighting fires, and the wildfires are happening this whole summer. We filmed that. That has not aired yet. And so we were planning to go to Donovan Prison because my organization, ARC, has been working in Donovan Prison. I have a staff member in Donovan Prison 4 days a week working with the guys there. So we were going down there to meet with a group of 40 guys. The Menendez brothers just happened to be 2 of the 40.
What was it like for Kim? Because Kim, Chris, Chloe, there were a few members from the family that came. What was it like for them? Because Chris, it was her first time ever being in a prison.
Yeah, I've been wanting Chris to come for a while.
Because why?
I mean, she birthed this woman, right? It's like, I could only imagine Chris's pride as a mom for her daughter having this platform, 360 million Instagram followers.
Incredible.
A single mom who's like, literally, I spoke to Kim this morning and she was doing drop off of her kids at school. She was personally dropping off her kids at school. How this woman finds time to give back, to want to inspire people, to bring hope, to visit prisons. Like, I thought that would be something that her mom just must be so proud of. So Chloe's come with us a few times. Like, Chloe's always down to roll, and she's great. And having Chris there was really, really special. We arrived there, we got to the prison, we all walked into the gym together. There were 40 guys there. We said hi, we shook everybody's hands, and then we sat down in a circle, and everyone, 40 people plus like the 5 of us, went around the circle and introduced ourselves. And it was emotional. Chris sat right next to me.
She got emotional.
She got emotional. She talked about how blown away she is that Kim has chosen to do this. And she was very emotional and very inspired by the people that were in the circle telling their stories, exposing some very hard truth.
What do you hope that the relationship with Kim and how she can magnify things so easily, what do you hope comes out of this relationship for your organization?
Yeah, I mean, I think obviously crime's a scary thing. And to me, I see so many people that might have done something horrible when they were in their 14, 15, 16, 17 years old, but now they're in their 40s and their 50s, are people of unbelievable character. They have done more work on themselves in a prison than any of us do out here in the community. They have had to confront the pain that they caused people. They've had to work on those character defects, and they're unbelievable. And so to me, to be able, I mean, some of the guys that we met were in a prison seminary training to be pastors. A lot of the guys had graduated and just got their bachelors. All of the guys were doing self-help programs. So to be able to have a platform like Kim plus Chloe plus Chris to amplify who these men are today, not who they were when they did their worst thing. Like, I don't believe that the worst thing that people do should define them for the rest of their lives. And I think the fact that we can have Kim Kardashian and her platform amplify that is incredible.
How do you know the Menendez brothers?
So I have been working inside prisons, mostly with people that committed their crimes under the age of 18, so very, very young. Ever since I've been going to this prison in San Diego called Donovan, I've known Lyle Menendez for the longest time as one of 100 guys that I've worked with. He's somebody that, since I've known him, has been very trusted within the prison, with prison staff, with the wardens, et cetera. Both him and his brother have been behaving, being tutors, being mentors, doing the right thing for decades at this point. So they're very involved in a lot of the positive programming that's happening at the prison. And so I knew Lyle at first, and you know, the brothers had not seen each other for 2 decades. They were separated after their trial. And Erik arrived at prison, I think, in around 2018, and they were reunited. And then I started to get to know Erik as well.
Okay, you have to shoot first so that you don't back out. What? Okay. I love you, Erik.
I love you.
Let's talk about the miniseries that's going on right now and their reaction to the miniseries. As we saw, where in Erik's words, he was frustrated with how he and his brother were being portrayed. What do you think about that answer? Because you have a direct connection with them.
I'm only 3 episodes in. And I really believe it's a pretty fair portrayal. Obviously, I think Lyle's character in that series is a bit over the top.
I want a case, not a bottle, a case of Perrier. Do you have Perrier? Yeah, you do. Okay, great. Let's put a rush on that and charge it to the room. Thank you.
I know they would say in their youth, they were privileged, they were arrogant. Those were character flaws that they own. They've never, ever since I've known them, this heinous crime they committed, right? The killing in a very brutal fashion of their 2 parents.
Yes.
They've been accountable. They've been remorseful. That doesn't discount the absolute horrendous abuse, physical, emotional, sexual, that they experienced at the hands of their father, who, not only from them, but from others, like the guy from Menudo who said that he was sexually molested by Jose Menendez.
Yo fui violado por el presidente de RCA, Jose Menendez.
It doesn't justify their crime, but they're fully accountable for the crime and fully remorseful. But there's just so much that I think the show brought to life that Erik needs to understand. Yeah, it might have shown their character flaws and arrogance and a horrible crime and all of those things that was probably all true when they were young. But who they are 35 years later in their 50s is not who they were at 18 years old.
So you would say it is on point. It is a true depiction of who they were in the events.
I didn't know them then, but it's probably a bit heightened, but it's also probably fairly true.
Did he tell you about his reaction to the series? Did he say anything, Lyle or Erik, say anything to you about the series?
Erik said that he had not seen the series yet, but he had heard a lot of things from people that kind of took him through the episodes. And I think we ensured him that it was a fair portrayal. Erik's huge concern is how Lyle's portrayed. Erik never expressed any concern about how he was portrayed. he was always concerned about his brother. I think Lyle is big and very, very over the top. That I think ultimately, I haven't seen the end of the series, but I know where it goes. And I think ultimately it's a fair story that tells two sides of this.
Then why do you think he wrote that note? If he hasn't seen it, but he's only heard, why do you think he wrote that note?
I think he's protective over his brother. I think he has gone through decades of people saying things that aren't true about his brother, and I think he wants to protect his brother's name. I mean, I'll tell you this, like, I've known Lyle longer than Erik. Today's Lyle at 55 years old, or however old he is today, he's a man who has accepted the consequences of his actions, has sat in prison for 35 years on a life without parole sentence, and has chosen for 2 decades to just help people. He's always been someone who knows the harm he caused with the commission of that crime and has decided to make amends and continue giving back every day.
I had to keep trying just to change the lives that we were living. And I knew at some point that I was going to be willing to do anything just to make it all stop.
You also brought the young man who plays Erik in the series, Cooper, correct? What was that like? Because Erik had no idea that Cooper was coming.
Kim and Cooper had just met a few days before, and she invited him on the trip, obviously, because she knew that in this group of guys, the Menendezes would be there. And it was a very, I would say, inspiring, incredible moment to watch the two of them interact. They embraced each other, they gave each other a hug. They gave them some space, they sat and talked for a while. And that was really interesting. You could tell it was just a great conversation. I wasn't privy to it, but you could tell that they were really happy talking to each other. I know the real Erik, I've seen the real Erik, I've seen Cooper's portrayal, and I think he's done an incredible job.
Do you think the brothers have found peace?
I think the brothers have found peace in helping others. They can't take back the heinous crime they committed when they were teenagers, but they can give back, right? I think most lifers that I work with that are in prison, that have really done the work to change themselves, know that they call it living amends, that every day you have to give back for what you took, right? And so Lyle and Erik every day know they have to make living amends to help people, and every day they are helping people.
There was a sensational aspect to their case, the trial, and even them going to prison. How have they dealt with their notoriety, and how do they deal with it on a regular basis around other prisoners?
I mean, obviously they have a name because of how public their case was, but none of that arrogance that you see in the show of them as young people, I wouldn't even recognize that in them today. They are so humble. Like, you couldn't pick them out of the crowd. Like, they are just one of the guys that are in that prison doing the work to give back.
Do they wish they had figured out another way to solve that problem?
I mean, I know they regret and are deeply remorseful and also accountable. They own it. They don't try to make excuses. It's like that saying, hurt people,
Yes.
right? And so 100% they regret every part of that decision to kill their parents.